Normally such cause for celebration, but muted this time round. The Olympic torch arriving from Greece in Japan ahead of the Tokyo Summer Olympics. Northeastern Japan is where it touched down. Supposed to start the torch relay in Fukushima. Spectators being told not to line the route because of the coronavirus concerns, of course. But the question of the future of the Olympic Games, just really the public questioning of this is growing louder and louder. And Laura McQuillan is taking a look at that for us this morning. Interesting, Laura, up until now, certainly we've heard from IOC officials, from Tokyo officials. They are adamant the Games will go ahead, set to start on July the 24th. There was a report in the New York Times that the IOC president, Thomas Bach, has said they are considering different scenarios. Sort of the first indication that there might be a bit of a crack, perhaps responding to a huge degree of international condemnation.
That's right. Criticism coming from athletes, representatives, including here in Canada, because there's so much concern about whether the Olympics can go ahead and, in fact, whether they should go ahead with what's happening in the world with COVID-19 right now. And on a call earlier this week with the IOC and athletes, which Thomas Bach was on, the takeaway message for those athletes was not one about public health or really limiting travel, self-isolation, anything like that, but it was find a way to train. And for countries where gyms, training centres, pools are shut down, where athletes can't travel in or out of the country, you can imagine how much that is impacting their training right now, just a couple of months out from what would be the start of the Olympics. Some criticism of the International Olympic Committee coming from Hayley Wickenheiser. She's now a member of the IOC herself. She posted on Twitter earlier this week a lengthy post about the IOC insisting that the Games will go ahead, calling that insensitive and irresponsible given how things stand right now. We spoke to her yesterday as well, and here's what she told us.
Many athletes, the pools are closed, the gyms are closed, the facilities are closed. But much more than that, they're worried about their families. They're worried about going out and training and contracting this and giving it to others that are less healthy than they are. There's just so much more that is at play and that we don't know, that I think to guarantee the Games going ahead in July without taking a further step back is not right at this time.
And that's a view shared by many others, including Shay Smith. He's now the chairman of the Canadian Olympic Athletes Commission, and he spoke to the New York Times after that phone call, which he was on with the IOC. He said he wanted to hear the International Olympic Committee come out and say that it was going to use its funds, its influence, to spread a message internationally that countries need to understand the importance of that social distancing. He wanted them to say that athletes' health is their #1 priority, but that's certainly not the message he took away from it, Heather.
So athletes are chiming in. G7 countries are saying they'd like a deferral or a postponement or something of the nature of a complete Olympic Games experience. It is Japan that will decide. And what are Japanese officials saying?
Well, they are facing more pressure, of course, to call this off or postpone it for now. I mean, Japan has been hard hit by coronavirus. But to not host the Olympics would also be another economic hit. It needs those tourist dollars, it needs those big brands and those big athlete names coming into the country. If it's going to get, a glimmer of hope out of the coronavirus scenario right now. Now, we know that Shinzo Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan, did discuss this with his G7 counterparts on a conference call earlier this week. The leaders asking whether they would postpone the Games. Donald Trump came out yesterday and had more to say about what happened on that call and what Shinzo Abe told the other leaders.
Prime Minister Abe was on the call, and that's a big decision for him, and we don't know what his decision is, but we'd live with his decision. It's a tough situation. They've done an incredible job. Japan has done an incredible job on building the venues. He has told us that he has not made a decision as to what to do.
So some athletes, some world leaders calling for this to be postponed for some months, if not a year. Heather, you saw that flame arriving in Japan. It might just have to keep burning for a while longer.
We got this week. If they do not have the Games, Japan's GDP will take a hit of 1.5%. So there are a lot of stakes here in many areas. And Laura will be watching this closely. Thank you very much.